Hi folks, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and we are going to make a two-strand necklace using this pendant from SoftFlex Company's Design Challenge Kit. Specialty. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to alcohol ink this because I think it needs a little color. So let's turn down and I'll show you what we're going to do. Our pendant here, and I've got some medium magenta, some lake blue, and some purple alcohol ink. Now this one looks like it has leaked at one point in time and is stuck closed. We'll worry about it in a minute. So all we're going to do, wow, a lot of them are stuck. I'm going to have to work them open, I guess. Okay, finally got these all loosened, so we're just gonna put a drop or two in wherever. I've got alcohol ink all over my hands, but I can just use a drop or two of alcohol and it'll take it off. Okay, so now what we're going to do, now that we've got the alcohol ink on here, is we're simply going to blow it around or wiggle it around, however you want to do it. Now I'm going to get it all over my hands. That's a given. And I sort of expect it. I'm going to wipe this up a bit since we've got it all over the mat. And it's going to continue to be all over the mat because what I'm going to do next is take a squirt or two of alcohol and make it mix somewhat. Now I'm just blowing on it to make it move around. And I've decided it needs just a touch more of the red because it's going off most of the way anyway, so then we will Now I've decided I've got too much on here, though this plot right here isn't covered. So we're just going to dab it a bit with paper towel, take some of the ink off. Then I'm going to spray it with the, again. And then we're just going to dab some of the color off. I have just a touch of no color right here, so and then we'll dab it. See how it just ran into there now? So that's good. So we just dabbed quite a bit of the color back off again. As you can see, it's all over my towel and my fingers, but it does give it some pretty coloration here. But I think it still needs a little blue, so I'm gonna put a drop of blue. Oops, missed. It's on behind it probably now. Come on, just a little drop. There we go. Come on, close. Now somewhere in here I should have a straw, and I can blow it better with a straw, but I'm not seeing it, so I will just blow it by hand again. Now I don't want it to be too thick because otherwise it's making my words disappear a little bit. And that's why I'm going to give it another spray of to make it. Now I'm going to dab it a little bit again. So we just have just the basic little bit of color on there. Oh, we got a too big hit much here in the S, I think, still. There we go. Now, as you can see, it's just a splattering of colors through it. And I think it's pretty. Now, I could have made it yellow and orange to match things better. And if you can see the back side, because it's been sitting down on the stuff, has also got color on it. So I'm just going to give it a squirt. And let it take that color a little more. Now, because I have so much here on this towel here, paper towel, come on, get it wet, it should be able to transfer over here some while it's wet. So there's this side. And this side of our pendant, all alcohol inked. Now I'm going to move this out of the way a little bit, give this towel, the mat, a squirt here, and we'll find a relatively clean spot on our rag. And that, as you can see, it cleans it off pretty good. Now that's the thing. The alcohol will let it change. I'm going to throw this away. It's pretty messy. If this gets near any kind of alcohol, it's going to change color somewhat. So I'll show you what I mean. It's dry right now, but see how this is thick down here? Now I just dabbed this towel with some alcohol, and you see it just started to come off onto this paper towel. Now we don't want that to happen, so what we want to do is we're going to, once this seems to be thoroughly dry, we're going to spray it with some Rust-Oleum to, and my hands are nasty, but that's all right. I can wash them, I will just use a little alcohol ink on them. Most of the color will come off with the alcohol ink, or not the alcohol ink, but alcohol. And it's just regular household rubbing alcohol, works great. And it'll clean off my hands pretty good. So we'll put all this stuff away and take this to spray it, and then we're ready to go. Hi folks, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and today we are going to work on a 2-strand necklace using our pendant that I alcohol inked from the SoftFlex Company's Design Challenge Kit Specialty. I think this is going to be really gorgeous. So let's turn down and we'll see what we're doing. Now here is all of the beads we're going to use. This is for all the beads for both strands. I also have 3 rolls of SoftFlex bone, sterling silver, and this is says it's champagne, but it's actually slightly off colored. It's more of a rose gold color. This I'm going to add as I get the strands done to make a braid up the back. So what we're going to do, I don't care which one I use. I can use the silver or I can use the bone to start this, but we're going to get a pretty good length out. And I'm going to put a spacer on this. So what I'm going to do is, I have this sort of designed in my head. So we're going to get 2 of the little ones to start with. Of this vitriol ones. Now these are not from the kit. I added them to bring the colors from that I painted for this into the piece. Then we're going to have 2 small daisy spacers. 1, 2, 3 of the 6mm vitriol. And then 3 more of the small daisy spacers. So have a little thing going there. Now we're going to use one of the fire polishes from out of the kit and a small crystal spacer from my stash, and one of the 8mm vitriols. There's 4 sizes of this, the 4, the 6, the 8, and a 10. And we're just going to use those as we go along. Then we'll have a small spacer and a large spacer. Bing, down it goes. And now we're going to have 7 of our piggybacks. First one is going to go this direction. If I can get it to go in the hole. There we go. Now I'm just going to use the center hole like I would with any bead and just ignore that second hole in the piggybacks. You could put them off-centered if you wanted to. I don't want to. So there's 4. 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the last one, 7. Now we're going to put another small spacer, another fire polish, and another small spacer. Then we'll put in another 8mm, small daisy spacer, large daisy spacer, and then one of these bronze pieces. Again, with the large daisy spacer, then the small daisy spacer. Then we'll have one of the 10mm bead cap like this one. Then we'll go with this style of bead cap, one of these threaded gold ones. The other bead cap that goes over the top of those. Then we have one of these again, and another 10mm. Then we're going with, there they are, the big rose gold crystal spacer and this topaz, big topaz rondelle. And there is our first side. Well, I need to put the bail in here, and because we're using this bail, I need some, it's got a pretty big sized hole, so we need a little bit of our rubber spacers. So we'll just shove that up in there, get our scissors, and cut that off. Put this away. And I think I'm going to trim this just a little bit because I think I probably went a little oversized when I cut it out. So now we'll slide that onto there. And our bail. Now as we get to the point where we need to do so, this is going to hang right here because this is our lower strand. And now we're just going to reverse this pattern for the rest of this piece. So crystal spacer, or I should say the topaz, then the crystal spacer. Gotta find where it went. There it is. Then the large rondelle, and then we're just gonna go just right down the line just so it mirrors this other side. Now that we've got this done, we're going to compare sides to make sure that we didn't miss anything. Here's our middle. And we will go this. And this is good. Now I'm going to move this way up here and then just move this down. And then we'll put another bead stopper right here. And I'm not going to cut the wire because I'm not sure how much I want, because we're going to braid the back side. So now the rest of these beads, well, other than a few things like the lobster claw and the jump rings, are going to be for the other side, for the upper branch, which I'm going to use the bone wire for. So we will just simply get some bone wire out and start doing the other side. So here's our bone. And now we're going to put a bead stopper on here. And we're going to start with those little ones again of 3. Where'd it go? 1. 3, then 3 small of the daisy spacers, 3 of these mediums, or I should say the 6 millimeters. Then we'll do a, where are they at? There we go. Crystal spacer, 1 of the fire polish, and then a small daisy, large daisy, and the bronze. Again, we'll go large daisy and small daisy. Now we're going to put the vintage button bead on here. Then we'll go small and large. Now we're going to put our button beads on, our piggybacks, I should say. Okay, we're only putting 3 on this one. Now we're going to go to the large, small, then one of our 10s here. And then from this one, we're going to go to silver daisy spacers, or star. This one's more of a star spacer than a daisy, but these are daisies here. Then it'll be the big porcelain. Small daisy. Oops, supposed to be silver here. Large. And then our big crystal piece. This is the focal portion of the top strand. And now we'll just follow this down the line like we did the other side. Going this direction then, of course. Oh, I forgot I was going to put this on the other side. We'll have to remember to do that when we get to, when we decide how much wire we're going to cut. So that's for the other side, as is this and this. And these go over here. One of these is to hold our pendant on, and the others are for the ending of it. So now what I need to do is put our, now I put that on here in case we need some seed beads. We may need some seed beads at the end because we're going to bring all of these lines together. Well, that needs to go this way because this is the top strand, this is the bottom strand. So what this is going to happen is we're going to bring these together with a, once we decide on the length we need to make this, we're going to then crimp these all together. And I do think it needs some seed beads. It's too high. Either that or I need to take some little beads off over here. But I want this to drop down relatively close, like so. So we are going to need to add a few seed beads, I think, to either side. This one needs its little jump ring too. And then this is going to, like I say, have this pendant hanging here. The next thing we need to do is decide how long of wire we want, because what we're going to do is we're going to crimp this together. We're going to do a double crimp because we're going to add another third line as we go with our second crimp. And as we do that, we're then going to braid all the way up the back. So to make this 20, I probably need at least 10 inches of wire on either side. So let's get our ruler out, and then that might be too much. I may not need that much after all, but I would much rather have too much wire as not enough wire. So we're gonna back this down way down here, roll our beads down, and get now I want at least 10 inches of wire for braiding, because it's going to take up quite a bit of that space. And I may want even just a little bit more because I need the space for doing my crimping and stuff. So even though I might use too much wire here and have to throw some away, I would rather have too much. So I'm going to cut 11 inches of wire. Oops, I pulled it out but didn't move my crimp or my stopper. Don't get in my way. So we're going to put 11 inches of wire on this side. So I'm going to take my stopper and cut it, put it right there. Then we're going to do the same on the other side. We're going to cut 11 inches of wire off. But I am going to put this bead stopper on here so I don't worry about knocking these beads off. Need about another inch. So there's my 11 inches right there. So we're going to cut that off. And we'll do the same on the other side. So we'll get this 11 inches on this side as well. So that's right there. Now we need to do the same for the other side. Now I may end up having to add some beads here, like I stated, because once we start pulling these together, they're going to maybe be too close, or I won't be able to crimp them where I want, so we will have to add a few beads so we can, it's little seed beads, so we can crimp closer. So there goes that. And so we'll just put this over here for right now. We don't need to put our third line in yet. The first thing we're going to do is, well, I'm going to put this piece I forgot to put in over here, this little spacer. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our two pieces of line. Come here, you guys. I'm going to sit them side by side here. And we're going to put a crimp tube on. Come on, babe. On you go. And we're going to slide it down, and we're going to see how close we can get them to sit beside each other and see if they're going to sit comfortably. Now see how that one is not doing so? They're bunching together there. I'm going to put a few seed beads on this side, so it's not so high anyway, because it's a little higher than I want it. So we're going to put, like, pull this back out of here. And I would have swore I had some little vitriol seed beads, but I couldn't find them when I was searching for them the other day. So I'm going to use just these little clear ones. So pour a little bit out. Probably only want like maybe 5, if even that. We'll see as we go along here. I'm going to put 5 on. Then we're going to drop it back through the crimp. Come on, you. Pull it up. And then we're going to see how tight we are beside each other. Now see how that's a little tighter? It's a little looser now because I have a seed bead there. And I actually could put a couple seed beads in the other side, at least one in the other side, and it would even be a little further off. So let's do that. Let's put just one seed bead in this side with the silver wire. And that will bring it away from the crimp tube just a little bit, but I think it'll be enough. So we'll slide this through here. And pull the silver wire up, and then pull the bone wire up. And, oops, we're not up here. There we go. Now see how close, much better that looks? Now I'm going to just put a bead stopper here, and then we're going to do it on the other side, and we're going to see if it's low enough for my taste, or if I'm going to need to put some more seed beads onto the other side. I believe we put 5, so we could put 7 if we wanted to. I have exactly 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we'll put a crimp tube on. And we will feed the silver through the crimp tube. And pull them up tight. So there they are. Now I'm going to see how close they are to each other. If I want to add a few more seed beads to give this a little more space away from each other. I think maybe just 2 more. I don't want them to bump, but I don't want them to be really far apart either. We'll put 2 more seed beads on this side. Now we have 7 over here. And we're going to put it through again, because I think this is going to finish it up as far as the distance is concerned. So up we go. Come on, all the way through. Why are you not coming all the way through? Oh, you are all the way through. It's your buddy that's not. Okay, let's pull silver up. Okay. Now we'll go to the other side and get the bone out and add the two to it. So 1, come on baby, 1 and 2. Slide them down and go back through our crimp tube. Pull it up. So silver and bone are beside each other again. And then put our bead stopper on. Now let's see how close they are. They're a little closer. And I think they'll be fine. So what we're going to do then is we're going to get in with our crimping pliers and we're going to crimp this spot. So crimp these two together after I get them nice and make sure they're close to each other. Now, as you can see, I let the bead slide, and that's fine. We can catch that with the other side. Yep. Now we're just going to push these beads over here. Make sure they're all over this direction. Now, per usual, if you find you gave yourself a gap, you can always use a crimp cover to fill in the hole. So there are our two sides all put together. Now we're going to do one more thing here, and that is we're going to put on this little bead here. Roll it down to the crimp tube that's already there. And then put these wires through a second crimp tube. Okay. Now let's just let that sit for a minute while you go and do the same to the other side. Now here is where our third wire comes into play. So we're going to take our third wire and we're going to cut off a piece that is approximately the same length as the wires you already have cut. Oops, no crimp coming off crimp tube. You got to stay there. So we're going to just lay this in here and just bring it down here and cut it about right here. Now what we're going to do is, since we have our third line here, we're going to push it through the crimp tube. And I'm not sure if it will go through the bead or not. I do not believe it will. But we're going to put it out a little bit so we can see where it's at when we crimp. Make sure it's there in the crimp. Now we're going to take our pliers and we're going to crimp that into there. Now we're going to do a tug test on this one to make sure it's in here good. Yes, it is. So since it is, I'm going to find my flesh cutter and we're going to see if we can't get that little nub I left off. Pretty good there. Okay, now we have 3 on this side. And we now have to do the other side as well. So we're going to do it exactly the same way. We take our wire, which I have all twisted up here. How lovely. And then we're going to, I'm sure I have more than enough out, so I'm going to put this on so it doesn't unroll anymore. We're going to do exactly the same thing, feed it through this crimp. Since it won't go through the bead, most likely, we'll let it slide off to the side of the bead like so. See here? Oh, it's off to the side to some. Now we'll take our crimping pliers and we'll crimp this crimp. Oops, I pulled the wire out accidentally. Got to put it back in. I have an extra crimp in here. How did I manage that? Yep, that's an extra crimp. Don't want that. So we will pull this extra crimp out of here, which is a pity because this champagne wire is actually going through this little bead. Oh, and I have to cut it because we're at that. No, just take this out of here. Okay, now how I got an extra, I don't know, but we will go down here again. Now we'll take our champagne wire again, go through these. And amazingly enough, it was going through our little bead, so I'm going to let it go through the bead. Pull it over here so it's over the crimp, so I can find it to cut easily. Then we're going to crimp this one. Now we'll cut this extra little bit of wire right here. And now we're going to go and pull the wire up so we can know where to cut it on this side. This is good. So now we are done getting all our wires out. And our next step is to, and I'm going to need 2 more crimp tubes, is to braid this SoftFlex wire, the 3 wires, together. So you braid this just like you would braid hair. Just take your wires. Let's get these other ones out of the way. Pull them over to the side so they will be over here and not in where we're working. So all we're going to do is we're going to take our 3 wires. We're going to separate them like you would when you're working on your hair, like so. And then we're just going to braid them. So over 1, over, and you just keep doing the braid till you get to the top of your wires. And you can make it loose or tight depending on how you want to do it. Okay, now that we've got close to the top here, as you can see, I've got just a few inches left. I'm going to take another crimp tube and I'm going to feed it on here, all 3 wires, and slide it down to where I've ended the braid, which is, it's trying to unbraid right here a little bit. Oops, now we went too far. It's right there. And I'm going to put a bead stopper here. And let's see how long this braid ended up being right here. As you can see, the braid is about 8 inches. If you want, like I said, if you want it tight or loose, you can do so here. Also, this is also this, you don't have to use different colors like I used 3 colors here. You can use all the same color. You could use a lot more brighter colors. You can do whatever you want. But now that I've got this side braided, we're going to turn and we're going to go to the other side and braid it as well. So let's put this aside, bring the beads over here so that I've got the braid where you can see it. And then we're going to start the braid. And we're just going to do it the same. Spread our 3 wires out and do it just like you would your hair. So just start braiding and go down the line. Now again, as I say, you can go as tight or as loose as you want to. I tend to braid a while, and then I'll run my hand up and down, my fingers up and down the braid to see if it's relatively evenly spaced. So I'll show you what I mean here. We'll put a bead stopper right here on our wires. And what I do is I just take my braid and I just run my fingers up and down it to even the braid wires out so they're not, you know, got a bulge here or a bump there. And so there we go. There is this side's braid. Now we're going to go, like I said, we're going to go back to the other side and we're just going to keep braiding just like we are right here until we get up to the end again. So now I've got the second braid pretty much all where I want it. So we'll put the crimp tube on this side. Come on, baby, over all 3. There we go. slide it down to where your braid is at. Now, mine has decided it wants to be a little bit of a bugger there. That's all right. Now, we're going to compare sides because we want them to be the same length. And this one needs to twist because the inner one is going to the outside here. We don't want that. Okay. Now, like I say, we need to compare our braids, see if they're about the same length. If one is longer than the other, we'll just let that braid go. And I didn't put a bead stopper on this side, which is naughty. So let's go up to see where they're at. And hey, look, they're about at the same spot, which is good. But I think I'm going to push them down just a little bit more so they're at a tighter spot in our braid. Looks like our silver one needs pulled a little bit here. It looks a little loose. So we'll do that. There we go. Now again, I'm going to compare side to side, make sure they're looking good. And now this one is a little bit higher up than this one, so we'll see if we can push it down some. Ooh, that twisted it up too much. We don't want that. Got to hold all of them when we push it down. It looks like maybe I pushed the wrong one down. That's all right. We'll push this one down some too. There we go. Now let's see how long that makes the necklace, because we may not want it that long anyway. So we measure it from the middle of our inside loop up to there. That's over 12 inches. We don't want that. We want it a little shorter than that. So let's roll this down, say an inch maybe. This one needs to go down just a hair's breadth more. That's pretty close. That will make it then when we finish up our tightening. That's still 24 inches. So it's pretty long, and I might even want it shorter than that. So I think we'll push this down just a little bit more. There's our Rory. A little bit more. That looks good. So now we're at still pretty close to 24, but a little bit less. So now what we do is we take our crimping pliers and we crimp these where we have these crimps at. It's good and tight. Now we'll do the other side. I probably should have compared these one more time to make sure I didn't crimp them at a different spot. So, nope, they're pretty darn good. Okay, this can come off of here. Now our next step is to unwind these, though I suppose we could have left them wound. And then we're going to put another little bead like so here to make our, because we're going to do a double crimp here. So we need 2 more crimp tubes. And these can be any color, but I think I still have the silver out from the kit, so let's get those. Here they are. And I need 2 more tiny beads. I know I brought them in here. I'm going to have to find them. So anyway, what we're going to do now is see if we can get all 3 beads through this little guy. If we cannot, we will cut some of our wires right now. Looks like this says no. Since the silver one is the shortest, we're going to pull this down to our crimp tube. We're going to run our flush cutters down till we get straight to that and cut that one off. Now we're going to roll these down. Oh, I didn't get that cut really close, so we'll get in here and try and cut just a little bit more off. There we go. Now the bead goes down to here. Now we're going to take another crimp tube. It's going to go on both of those, and then we'll see if it will take both of them back through. If it will not, we will leave one up here, which it may not, because these will definitely take 3, but they will not always take 4. But it did take both. So we're going to bring this up, make a loop, but our crimp doesn't want to go down with both these wires in. So I'm going to pull the champagne one out and leave it hanging up here. Then we'll bring this down to the crimp and make the size of loop we want, which is generally not that big. It's just to hang our jump rings and stuff, or our jump rings in. So there, see, I've got just one here with 1 extra wire. So I'm going to feed this extra wire to the other side because it's coming up through the bone one, and I don't want it to do that. So now that I've got it over there, I'm going to get in with my crimping pliers, and we're going to crimp this crimping tube. We look like we're pretty good here. So now we take our flush cutters. We go in with the champagne one to slide it up here, and with the bone we want to slide it as close as you can and trim it off. So there is our loop to hang our hardware on right there. So now we'll do the same, exactly the same thing on the other side. Now we've already got this one crimped, so we'll try all 3 beads again. I don't think they'll go, but we'll try it. It says no dice, so we'll cut off. I think we'll just cut off the champagne one, since it was the extra one anyway. And get down here right up to the bead and trim it off. Now we go through our pretty vitriol bead, slide her down all the way, put our crimp tube on, slide it all the way down, put one of our strands, again I'm using the bone, through our crimp tube, push it down into place, pull our loop to the length we want it to be, It's pretty close. So now we will get this in here and crimp this one. Pull it, make sure it's good and tight, and then we'll trim off these extra strands. So roll them up to either side to right to the crimping bead as close as you can get it. Trim it off. Okay, now that we've got this done, the next step is to put our jump rings on and our pendant onto the bottom. And this is just a matter of preference which way you go with these. Let's get our pliers out and start opening some jump rings. The larger jump ring goes to the very back on one side. This is what the lobster claw will grab onto. This is also where if you want to put a little extender chain on, you can. Goes through one of our loops here and closes up. Now one of the smaller two will put the lobster claw on the other side. So through the loop and then through the lobster claw and close it up. And then lastly, to finish it off, open up this last oval jump ring, put it on our pendant, and then find our bail, which is right here, and then put this baby onto the necklace and close it up. There is our pretty 2-strand bracelet, necklace. This keeps wanting to roll over to the other side, doing the same thing over here too. We're going to have to make that behave. But there she is, all finished. There we go. There is our beautiful double-stranded necklace, which wants to twist. I've got to make sure it stops doing that. It'll stop once it hangs for a while, I'm pretty sure. So there is the necklace. This is made from special tea from SoftFlex Design Company. This is due to the braiding is why it does this. It wants to curl a little bit. Anyway, there is our gorgeous necklace. I think I may have to put a bigger jump ring here. This one looks like it wants to be naughty. It is being naughty, so I'm going to have to go with a large jump ring as opposed to the little one. I'll show you what I mean in just a second, because I'm just putting the big one on. Okie dokie. See how it hangs better now because of the, oh, I've got it backwards to you. Because of the larger jump ring, the pendant hangs quite a bit better. So there is our necklace, all finished. There's the braiding for the back. And I believe it's going to end up being 25 inches or 24, something like that. 24, right on the money. So this, because it's 24, it could probably go right over your head. Yep. And it hangs down sort of. Oops, we're twisted up here. Let's see if we can get us untwisted. Hanging on my other necklace. I'll push that to the back. But that's how it hangs. That's actually pretty close, and I actually like that. I wanted it relatively close, but not banging. It is sort of banging at the top, but not in a way that is bad. But so it could have been, I could have used a few less jump rings and let it come back up a little more, but it's too late to worry about that now, and I like it fine because it's not bumping at the bottom, which is what I was concerned with. So there we go. There's our bracelet, our necklace from using beads from my stash, the vitriol and some of the and the spacers. The other beads are all from the kit. So there is the necklace again, and our braided portion. So this has been Rose from In Rose's Garden. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.